Hello and welcome to what promises to be yet another thrilling instalment of action from Week 7 of Divisions 5F and 5G of the REL League. I am your host Kallisti Maya, the golden apple of Discord. This week marks the midpoint for the season. You're all about roughly about 7 games into the season so far. I think there's 1 or 2 of you with one game left to play in each division. And you've either seen your team blossom and grow or slowly wither and die. Some coaches have found their feet early and become the scary team that everyone dreads to play. And some of you have made a late entry splash into your respective divisions and really upset the natural order of things. To all of you, whether you've had a great start to your rookie season or a total failure to launch, I just wanted to kick this episode off by applauding you all for helping to make Season 7 one of the best yet. Now, weeks 7 to 13, the tail end of the season, are where things really get interesting. Early leaders hit cold streaks, late bloomers take everyone by surprise by winning 5 games straight, and as we head into the final few weeks, schedules are reviewed, and most of you will be counting fingers and toes to see if Coach A beats Coach B. Where does that leave you and your chances at a playoff spot? Well, this week, in addition to the regular content, I'm going to look at each team and rate their chances of snagging one of those 2 playoff spots per division. Who needs to beat who, and for that to happen, and I will make my predictions on who will be playoff bound. Before we get to that, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up on some of the upcoming events around ReBBL. So, as I mentioned in previous weeks, the HGMC, the Hugh Jackman Memorial Cup, is well on its way now. It's going to be coming out on December the 2nd. It's a fun one-day tourney. For those of you who don't know, the stipulation is that you must have a big guy on your team. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of mayhem. You get to play against other coaches from other divisions. It starts at about 7 in the morning GMT time. So for us coaches here in North America, that's about it's about 2 in the morning Eastern and 11 at night for the Pacific crowd. So yeah, it might be a bit of a harsh start for you, but it is a full day event. Looking to capture coaches from around the world to have a lot of fun. And if you do happen to have a nice free day where you're not doing anything, you have no family to visit, nothing to do, you might just want to stay up or get up excessively early and take part. It's a lot of fun. I promise you will really enjoy it if you do take part. In other news, and this is a big one for the REL and for me, there is going to be a REL newspaper or a new REL news service. So I am actually going to be the editor for that. So I'm putting it all together right now. The REL newspaper is going to be titled The Hot Rebel Relish, sponsored by McMurty's. And if you have any history with the tabletop game, you know that McMurty's is a halfling rip-off of McDonald's, and they have a lot of advertising in the tabletop version of Blood Bowl. So I just thought I'd create that title for the newspaper to give a little bit of historical reference. It's going to be a REL newspaper. We have the G manual for the G-Man League. We have the Big Observer for the Big O. That was the original newspaper. So it's about time the REL had one. So I have taken up picked up the ball and I'm running with it. I'm going to be producing that. I'm doing all of the styling and content placement. But I'd really love it if coaches from across REL, and you guys in particular, since I have a a method of reaching out to you directly. If you have any articles that you want to contribute, they would be gratefully received. If you're even thinking about it, oh, maybe I should write this or that, or maybe I can do an article on the best passes in REL, or do a role-playing article like Harringsaw does, where you're a reporter and you're visiting a team and seeing how they're doing, or anything like that. Anything that comes into your head, I'd love to see that article. Don't delay, don't deliberate and talk yourself out of it. Any articles that you contribute will be gratefully received and will probably make their way into the newspaper. It's going to look great. It's going to be a great read. I want it to be better than the other newspapers from G-Man and the Big O. So I really want lots of great content and lots of content. So please submit it to me. Kallisti Maya on Discord. Same thing on Reddit. And yep. You got content, you got ideas. Even if you pitch me ideas and I think they're great, but you're not able to actually do the content creation yourself, just throw them at me. I'd love to hear them. So after that shameless pitch for newspaper news article contributions, let's take a look at the divisions. So we'll start off with Division 5F. And here we are, we're in week 7, we're just about to roll over to week 8, and let's take a look at the matches that were played. So Division 5F still has 2 games yet to be played, Gambas Gals versus the Oklahoma Sooners, and the Kevlin Krakens versus Thrashcan. Now, I do know that Thrashcan apparently has decided to take a walk from the league. They have decided to dip out. I'm not sure whether Nurgle was their thing or whether they had real life commitments that just meant they couldn't carry on playing. Hopefully you enjoyed playing Nurgle. I think they're a great team, but yep, I think the Kevlin Krakens are going to be getting a 1-0 win, admin win for this game. So the only real game left to be played is Gambas Gals versus the Oklahoma Sooners. I think that's going to be a great game. So if you have any free time and you know it's being played, definitely check it out. But let's actually take a look at the games that have been played. So to start off with, we had Happy Go Go versus the Siberian Hopscotch Mafia. So that was Goblins versus the Kislev team. Now the Kislev team was a recent addition to the division. They've made a good splash. They won their first game impressively, lost their second game, but that was against Murderers Row, the division leaders, and they won this one. They won against the Goblins. A little bit torn because I am a secret supporter of Happy Go Go. I think the Goblin team is a fun team, and this is the one with Lexi, I believe. And yeah, I'm on the Happy Go bandwagon, but I'm really glad to see the Kislev team getting off to a great start mid-season. So that's good. So they got a 2-1 win. But then we had the battle at the top of the division, Murderers Row versus ReBBL Rage Quit. That was a 1-1 draw. And actually, let's take a quick look at the stats for the Happy Go Go's versus Siberian Hopscotch Mafia game. So Happy Go Go had 18% ball possession versus the 31% for the Siberian Hopscotch Mafia. Doesn't look like they did the Goblin team doesn't look like they did a whole lot with their possession. They did inflict a kill, so that's a big thumbs up from me. Always nice to see kills, a few knockouts, a little bit of running, a few blocks succeeding. Yeah, probably not as amazing performance as Happy Go Go were looking for. The Siberian Hopscotch Mafia, on the other hand, their ball possession wasn't stellar either. They only had 31%, so there's almost 50% of the game where the ball's on the ground, and they're probably in a big scrum fighting over it. They did have the 2 passes, the 2 catches. They did win out in the blocking war, 39 blocks. Inflicted just the 1 injury, which versus a Goblin team is probably a little bit low. Probably hoping for a little bit more than that, but they probably don't have the tackle skill yet either. They did have the 106 yards running, so they did win the dashing, the running award as well. SPP, let's take a quick look. So nothing stellar here. It's the 2 MVPs, the 2. So it looks like Sergey got the 2 touchdowns and a casualty. Or no, maybe it was the 2 passes with Sergey as well. And then we have Konstantin Zurov, who either got a casualty or got the 2 passes. And then we have Heather and Mimsy, who Mimsy got a touchdown and Heather got the MVP. Okay, so Murderers Row, as I said, battle of the top of the division. We had Murderers Row versus Rebel Rage Quit. This was going to be a titanic match, and it looks like it ended in a stalemate. So let's take a quick look at the stats of this one. So Murderers Row had a death, and Rebel Rage Quit had 2 expulsions. The MVP was a nice award for Murderers Row. It went to the Flesh Golem, who are always slow to develop, so he must be happy about that. And this Flesh Golem is also very close to leveling. And then, unfortunately for Rebel Rage Quit, one of the Hobgoblins got the MVP, so probably not as good as he wanted. So, but Rebel Rage Quit did get that kill. They did kill one of the Murderers Row team. I'll be interested to see in a little bit when we're reviewing the teams, which member of the Murderers Row crew did get their throat slit. We're looking pretty average, even on the ball possession. No passes. This wasn't that kind of a game. Rebel Rage Quit did win on the blocking war. They also won out with the number of KOs inflicted. Looks like they actually had half the team off the pitch, half of Murderers Row off the pitch at one point. Murderers Row did get 2 injuries, so that's good for them. But then obviously Rebel Rage Quit got the kill, so a little bit more of a permanent injury. Definitely would have been a good match. Then we have the surprising results. Maybe not surprising in terms of who would win, but definitely the scoreline is impressive. So the Sylvania Slayers, coached by Squid5, coach I played actually last season in Division 7, and re-rolled into the Vampire team. Completely crushed the Dark Elf Harlem Globetrotters version 2 in a stunning 4-0 win. So let's take a look at the stats for that one. I'm sure this is going to be insane. So yep, 75% ball possession for the Sylvania Slayers. Only 6% for the Harlem Globetrotters. We have the 1 pass, the 1 catch on either side. The actual blocking war was fairly even, but just all of the injuries and all of the removals were just happening for the Slayers. We've got look at this. We've got 5 KOs, 3 injuries, 1 kill, and nothing. Donuts for the Harlem Globetrotters. This is just a harrowing tale for the Harlem Globetrotters. Dark Elves are such a promising team to begin with, but it just looks like he's suffered setback after setback, and the re-roll, when he had very little development anyway, the re-roll sort of 3 or 4 games into the season would have just set him back even further. I think there's this result of these stats, they just tell the tale of the Harlem Globetrotters season, all season. Stunning win for the Sylvania Slayers. Congratulations. As I said, we have these 2 games yet to be played. This one's an admin win. And then we have Lizard Timbers versus Raskin Bobbins. And it was a 1-1 draw. So this would have been a good match. We have the control team, control team versus control team. So we have the Lizardman team, coached by is it Dwiggy? And with their skinks that are fast moving. Then we have the 6 Saurus, I think a Croxagore as well, versus the slow moving, heavy, hard hitting Nurgle team, Raskin Bobbins, and it would end all in a 1-1 draw. We did have the 1 death. I believe that was a skink. I would imagine it was a skink, and it looks like it was a self-inflicted death. But look at this. Look at the stats. Raskin Bobbins had 75% ball possession. With that much ball possession, I'm just shocked that the scoreline wasn't a little bit different. Maybe that's testament to Elizabeth Timbers. They only needed the ball for a little bit of time to get the score they needed, and then it was just back to the defensive grind to keep it at a drawed match. So yeah, 75% ball possession for Raskin Bobbins, the Nurgle team. The blocking wall was fairly even, but the KOs and the injuries, they all happened for Raskin Bobbins and not at all for Elizabeth Timbers. And it just looks like the Lizardman team was just throwing everything they had at slowing down the already slow Nurgle team. Probably a very hard fought match. And then finishing off, we had Flingin' Fun versus Once Bitten. So this is the Halfling team versus the Vampire team. And look at this, the Flingin' Fun, they induced Zara the Slayer, who got the MVP. Now, for those of you that don't know, Zara the Slayer is a bit of a Buffy the Vampire Slayer ripoff. But she comes with a very interesting skill, especially for undead teams, which is the stake skill. Can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's like does extra damage for injury rolls with the stake skill. This is basically a star player that is custom designed to fight the and just demolish the undead and unnatural teams of the Blood Bowl world. So that was a very sort of cunning use of your inducement cache, Mr. Christie. So let's take basically this top screen doesn't really show much. It was a 0 draw. There was really nothing much to see on this top screen. So let's take a closer look at the stats. So in terms of ball possession, we had Flingin' Fun that had the ball for about a quarter of the time, and then Once Bitten had it for half the match, close to. Once Bitten also won out in the blocking war. It was even Stevens in the KOs inflicted, but Flingin' Fun got more injuries. Probably that's partly due to Zara the Slayer. I would, Mr. Christie, if you could just let me know whether Zara was a good purchase. I would imagine it was, but just confirm that for me. So that was a little draw. So that's bit of a stalemate, but probably an interesting match just because of the use of that inducement cash to get Zara the Slayer. Would love to have seen her in action. Okie dokie. So that covers week 7. Now let's look ahead to week 8. Usually week 8 is a very telling week. You can still see a lot that's going to be going down, trends for the teams. It's all happening in week 7 and 8. So this is probably going to be a pivotal match for a lot of these teams. So let's have a look. We have first game is the Siberian Hopscotch Mafia versus ReBBL Rage Quit. So Siberian Hopscotch Mafia, you've really been thrown to the wolves here. I think you're a competent coach, but you're going up. Last week, week 6, you went up against the division leaders. Now this week, in week 8, you're going up against the second place team in the division. And so yeah, it's a real trial by fire for you. I would like to see you do well, but ReBBL Rage Quit, they are pretty scary. So I am going to call this one for ReBBL Rage Quit, but I think it's going to be a closer game than some might think. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win for ReBBL Rage Quit. Harlem Globetrotters version 2 versus Happy Happy Go Go. I'm definitely going to be voting and predicting this one for Happy Happy Go Go, the Goblin team. I wouldn't usually, but I think you've just had such a poor start with the Harlem Globetrotters version 2. I just don't think there's any coming back from it. I think that the Happy Happy Go Go, whilst they're the fun, crazy Goblin team, I think that they're just going to have the edge on this one, and they're going to win it. And there's probably going to be lots of deaths and more terrible times ahead for you, and lots of fun times ahead for Happy Happy Go Go. The Oklahoma Sooners versus Murderers Row. Yeah, I'm calling this one for Murderers Row. I think it's going to be a fun match. I think there's going to be a lot of to and fro and bashing, but I think Murderers Row, they've just got it on. They've got the division on lock so far, so I don't see any reason for that not to continue. I think this is going to be a 2-0 win. Thrashcan versus the Sylvania Slayers. I believe this is going to be an admin result, so the Sylvania Slayers are going to get the admin win. If it's not, if Thrashcan, if you are around, let me know, and well, it'll be too late for this cast, but at least I'll know for next week that you're still partaking in the season. Raskin Bobbins versus Gambas Gals. I'm going to pick Raskin Bobbins. I think they're doing well. I think Shira's now got a handle on this team, getting development in, and it's probably starting to have a lot of fun with this team. Nurgle are very slow to develop. Many will say that they're kind of painful at the beginning. I found that too. Although it didn't take as long for me to sort of get into the swing of things with Nurgle as I thought it would. I think you've reached that point as well. So I think Raskin Bobbins, I think you're going to walk away with a win on this one. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win. Once Bitten versus the Kevlin Krakens. I'm calling this one for the Krakens. I think I've been talking to Oasis, who's the Kevlin Krakens coach. He's got a solid head on his shoulders. He's playing Norse, which are a solid team. They do have the paper armor, AV7. But yeah, I don't think the vampire team's gonna be able to overcome the Norse. So I'm going to predict a kind of possibly crazy result on this one. I'm going to predict a 3-0 win for the Kevlin Krakens. And then Flinging Fun versus Lisbon Timbers. Lisbon Timbers have proven to be a very strong team. The Lizard Men as well, which is always good. But over the weeks of covering this division, I've learned never to bet against Mr. Christie and the Flinging Fun, the Halfling team. So this is actually probably one of the toughest ones for me to predict. I'm going to pick Lizard Timbers, but I could be wrong. Yeah. How's that for fence sitting? Yeah, I'm going to predict a 2-1 win for Lizard Timbers. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at the week ahead, let's take a look at the teams. Now, as I said, this week, this review, we're going to not only look at the teams, but we're also going to make predictions for how those teams are going to do going into the playoffs. So let's take a look at Flinging Fun, Mr. Christie. I don't think there's been much development. Sancho Carrot, you had a level on him last time we looked at the team, and what you took is Russell, which is great. So you've got another double on your halflings. So I think what you're doing right now, and please feel free to confirm or deny this, is if your halflings level up, if they roll a normal, you show them the door, and if they roll a double, you end up keeping them because they can become useful later on. So now you have a Blodge Fling and you have a Rodge Fling. Very nice. And then you still have the one tree Willow Long-Winded with the grab, and it looks like Deep Root Shakewood didn't get any SPP in the last game, and you have a few other halflings close to leveling, and it looks like you had one halfling that died in the last match. Still sitting at the one reroll. You have the Apothecary, you have 140k in the bank, and you have the nice low TV, 790 TV. So lots more Halfling Master Chef inducements on the cards for you. And possibly also going for Deep Root, the star player. Predictions. I can see you going into the being a contender for the Stunty Cup or Stunty Championship, and with a 2-2-3 record, that's not bad. That's not bad. Are you a contender for making the playoffs just on your record alone and not as a Stunty coach? Probably not. Once Bitten, coached by Bud Tugley. So let's take a quick look at the stats here. So 2 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss. That's an average record, not unsurprising for the vampire teams. But let's just see how you're doing. So you have the 3 vampires, 1 with Blodge, 2 with Block. I think there's probably no change from the last time we looked at the team. And then you have the 1 Thrall with Leader and the other one with Block, and you have 1 out injured. So that 1 injury happened last game. It's a missed next game, so he's going to be out for the next game. But I'm not seeing a whole hell of a lot of development here. You've got a decent team value. You've got nice team rerolls. Are you a contender for making the playoffs? Possibly. I mean, things really turn around for you. Let's just see whether there's a trend of you winning games, or whether the one win you had was, it was a little earlier in the season. I know, I can see if you start sort of really focusing your development on the vampires here, getting some good results, getting some good development on them, also getting some good winnings rolls to get to that 4th vampire. I can see this becoming a team that can be a contender. Whether that's going to happen by the end of the season, I'm not sure. This is definitely a team I would stick with, and even if you doesn't look like you're going to be making a playoff bid, I would definitely stick with this team. It's in a good position, and once it's developed, it's going to be ferocious. It's going to be a nightmare team to go up against. This team is definitely a grower, not a shower, in terms of, you have some teams that they start out great and then they plateau. Your team, the vampire team, doesn't start off great, but it can get amazing later on down the road. So stick with it. Give this team a season or two, and then that will pay dividends for you a season down the line. Raskin Bobbins. So let's take a look at your stats. 331. That's not bad. I actually haven't looked at the leaderboard, so I don't know where you are featuring in the leaderboard, but I would imagine you're doing relatively well. You're close to the top. Let's look at your team development. So we have Rocky Road, the Beast of Nurgle, still sitting at 2 SPP. We have the four Nurgle Warriors, one with Block, one with Mighty Blow. I don't think there's been much development there either. I think we were looking at the same Nurgle Warriors that had leveled last week. You have French Vanilla, the Strength Up Pestigore, who was definitely the Strength Up Pestigore last week. I remember French Vanilla. And then you have Butter Pecan, which might have just got a level up with Mighty Blow. That's nice. That's a nice addition. So this can be developed into your killer piece, and this is probably going to be developed into your support piece, I would imagine. Maybe it's going to become another killer piece, I don't know. And then we have Chocolate Chip, the kicker rotter. Great choice. 3 rerolls, 4 fan factor, 120k in the bank, which is nice. I would definitely consider getting another Pestigore. Start maxing out on those Pestigores and getting the development in. Again, this is another team that's a grower, not a shower. I would be very surprised if you had your first season out of the gate with this team. You had like a stellar season where you were winning every game and everyone was fearful of your coming, having to face you. Nurgle just doesn't work that way. Again, this is another team that's going to develop into an atrociously horrifying team a season down the line, and you're off to a great start. This Strength Up piece is great. You've got the 2 Mighty Blow pieces. I would definitely think about developing the kill pieces is great. It's great for fast development on the pieces themselves, and it's great to have those pieces that are causing injuries and you're winning the attrition war. But I would definitely think about sort of getting a few more block pieces, a few more guard pieces. They are far more beneficial for you. They're not flashy, they're not exciting, they're not going to win you games right now. Well, they might do, but they're definitely not as exciting as having a Mighty Blow and then a Mighty Blow Claw and then a Palm Claw. piece, but definitely show the path of restraint and get some block, get some guard, and then just make your team stronger overall. A block guard mighty blow team, Nurgle team is scary as shit. Definitely, that would be a horrifying team to go up against. As to your chances for the playoffs, I think they're actually relatively good. I'm not going to say you're a shoo-in for making it through to the playoffs, but I know a few good results and you could be in contention. Thrashcam we're going to skip over, as I'm pretty sure that they are no longer part of the league. Pardon me. As I'm sure that they are no longer part of the league. So now we're looking at the Oklahoma Sooners. And with a record of 3-1-2, yeah, this is again another sort of average record. You're probably sitting mid-table. But look at the development on this team. It's really quite nice to look at. We have the Troll with guard. We have this Black Hawk with move. Every time I see that Black Hawk, I wonder. I wonder why. Anyway, moving on. We've got the other two Black Hawks with block. We've got some of your blitzers with tackle. We've got the pom piece blitzer. We've got a lineman with guard, and we've still got this goblin hanging around doing his thing, which isn't much right now. He has 0 SPP. I'm just wondering if you've ever tried doing the one-turn touchdown with the goblin and the troll. Try it sometime. Even if you're losing the game, and just for shits and giggles, do it. You'd be surprised how much of a stress reliever it is. This team is looking nice. All teams always look nice. They get a few skills. The skill choices are pretty easy. It's block if you don't have it, guard, mighty blow, tackle, piling on. And that's pretty much it. That's your skill choices for the entire team. And once you have an entire team made out of orcs bristling with block, guard, and mighty blow, everyone hates playing you. I've got to be honest, because you're just there and you're bashing heads and you're winning the attrition war. You're impossible to put down because you're AV9. It looks like a scary team to play because it's just like chocker full of these skill ups. So it's going to be an amazing team next season. It's an amazing team right now. I'm sure there's lots of coaches you're going up against who are a little bit nervous about playing you. As to your playoff chances, I would say they're actually relatively okay. I know you haven't got the wins right now, but this is a team, the Orc team is definitely a team that starting this week, you can suddenly go on a terror campaign of wins. So that there's 6 games left to play. You could win 6 games in a row and make the playoffs. I could totally see that happening. Going to be a lot easier for you to do that than it is for the Nurgle team, just because you have the development, you have the structure. The Orc team is a great starting team, so could definitely see that happening for you. You've also got the development so far. Glossing over the Harlem Globetrotters version 1 because they re-rolled. Rebel Rage Quits. with a 4-2-1 record. This is impressive. Yeah, I believe last week you were in second place in the division. I would be surprised if that's changed a whole hell of a lot. You probably still are second place. In terms of development, you actually have your Minotaur out for the next game. Let's just see if that's... Oh, it's a movement bust as well. Scary. You're doing okay. You have two of your blockers where you want to be focusing your SPP. You've got two blockers with the Mighty Blow. One of those two has guard, which is great. You have your Dirty Player Hobgoblin. You have your Agility 4 or Agility Up Hobgoblin. Interesting, good. Means pickups and the obligatory pass to your Bull Centers. The hold up is for that isn't going to be your Hobgoblin. And then you have your two Bull Centers who, again, you should be trying to funnel the SPP onto them. They both have block. As to your playoff chances, yeah, I would say they're really good. This is a solid team. I find, and this may not be the norm, but I find, and watching other coaches play Chaos Dwarves, they're slow to get started and then they really hit it into high gear. You're already hitting it into high gear. You're second place in the division, so I can totally see you snagging one of those two spots. Happy go. The delightful and surprising Goblin team. Okay, so let's have a look. So you've got 2-1-4. Maybe it's not as much of a winning record as Mr. Christie's flinging the flings, but a 2-1-4 record for the Goblin team is still good, and hopefully you're having a blast with this team. Oh no, Lexi's out. What happened to Lexi? Is it just a missed game? It is. Phew. I would have thought, I was shocked to see your SPP bank in a missed next game, or out for at least one game there. So we have Anna, the Hobgoblin, who still has Strip Ball. Anna had Strip Ball last week. Obviously Lexi's out next week. Then we have Trina, the Troll. Love that name. With 10 SPP. Looks like your Looney, unless this was a prior week, but it looks like your Looney got 5 SPP, so you only need one more to get a level. Yay! And you can give him Dirty Player if you can get it, and then you're away. You're away to the races. And if you can't get Dirty Player, maybe Sneaky Git. That'd be good. I mean, Sneaky Git's not the greatest of skills, but every little bit helps if you're using him properly as a fouling piece. Yeah, that'd be great. And then we have another Goblin, Christina 3.0. So obviously this is a bit of a cursed name. The two Christinas before were doomed and died. And then we have Mimsy, who actually scored the touchdown in the last game. Playoff chances, regular playoff chances, slim to none. Playoff chances for the Stunty Championship or Cup or whatever it's called. You can go on a tear and win a few games and possibly snag that one playoff spot for the Stunty teams across all divisions. Yeah, good luck. Hope you do it. It'd be nice to see one of the two coaches from Division 5F snag the one playoff spot. That'd be great. Where are we? Oh yeah, so the Kevlin Krakens, coached by Oasis. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Oasis reached out to me via Discord and gave me a bit of reasoning for some of the choices on his team. So it looks like Oasis is a little bit of a newer coach and just wanted to change things up a little bit. So he's taken like choices like Stand Firm were just a little bit of a detraction from the norm. Wanted to move away from what's been going on previously, and he decided to go with Stand Firm on this Berserker piece. And is standing by that decision. And so he's also taken the short hands and the jump up on both of his runners. One on each runner. I like the short hands on the runner, and I like the jump up. I'm still having a bit of an issue with the Stand Firm, but you gave me your reasoning for it, so it shows that you thought about it and you still wanted to go with it, so I respect that. Let's have a look at your statistics. No, you're doing really good, especially for a newer coach to Blood Bowl in general. 4 wins, 2 losses. Norse are naturally a pretty strong team as long as their armour holds out. But 4 wins is nothing to be sniffed at, and you definitely have a great chance of going through to the playoffs. So that would be definitely a good result, and a definite FU to me for questioning your skill choices. You're doing great if you manage to go through to the playoffs with this team. Then my predictions and my sort of assessment of your skill choices on your team, be damned. You obviously know what you're doing. Murderer's Row. So I'm without even looking at the statistics, I know that they're probably top of the division still, and that they have a better than average chance of going through to the playoffs. So let's take a look at the statistics just to confirm that. Yep, 6-1 and 0 losses. Yep, I don't think there's going to be any question. I mean, you know, the Doc M could go through a terrible cold streak and lose every game from here on out. But I'm thinking it might be unlikely. So we have the 2 wolves, one with Mighty Blow, one with Block. We have the white with Guard. We have Flesh Golem, just the one with Block. It looks like you had a Flesh Golem die. I think that was the last game. And then we have the Zodiac Killer, who was just purchased last week, and you already get on him 3 SPP, so that's good. But it is a ghoul, so enjoy him whilst he lasts. Without regen and without any apothecary, injury stick for him. And then we have the 2 level zombies, one with Guard, one with Block. Both good, solid choices. Yeah, I said at the beginning of this review, I would say your chances are pretty good of going through to the playoffs, and we'll leave it at that. The Sylvania Slayers. Take a look at this vampire team. So Squid 5, on the back of that amazing 4-0 win, has 1 Blodge Vampire, 1 Block Vampire, another Block Vampire. This is Maggot the Vein, though, who's had a niggling injury for quite a while now. 60k in the bank. It looks like you might just be buying more thralls. I would probably cool it on the thrall purchasing. It's just boosting your TV, and you're unlikely, with 5 team rerolls, you're unlikely to burn through bloodlusting thralls to such an extent that you're going to need to have a bench of 4 at the expense of getting that 4th vampire. So my advice is just to start saving your cash and not buy more thralls. Pardon me. Yeah, so my advice is just to start saving your cash, get that 4th vampire, and just lay off your thrall purchasing habit. Give your bench a break. Playoff chances. Let's have a look at the stats. 3-1-3. That's good. That's average. Maybe not the greatest chance of getting through to the playoffs. Still something you can aim for. But like a lot of the teams, or if you've reviewed so far, I would definitely aim on developing that killer team for season 2, your second season. Gambler's Gals, the Amazon team, and we've got a 3-3, 3 wins, 3 losses, so that's a 50%. And the Amazon's roster is always going to look pretty impressive with all the skills. But when we boil it down, we have, sculpts wise, we have the 1 Blitzer who is an agility up, very useful, very nice piece. Obviously, as a Blitzer, she comes with Blodge. Then we have a Mighty Blow piece, another Mighty Blow and Guard Blodge piece. So this one, Rexa, is going to be a definite power player in your team. We have Shepherd out, one of the catchers, and then we have Thrower with Pass, which she came with anyway, and then we have a Strength Up, Blackburn Steer Sensei, who has had that Strength Up for at least for a few games now. It's a good team. I would say maybe a little bit stunted for development so far. He's still sitting at 1140 TV. I know that Amazon teams have a lower TV in general, just because their pieces are cheap and they come with dodge anyway. But are you going to make it to playoffs? It's debatable. It's unlikely. I hope you do. I hope you have an amazing run in this tail end of the season. You win 6 in a row and snag one of those 2 spots to the playoffs. But either way, definitely you've got a good foundation for building a strong team for the next season right here. So definitely focus on that, and then see how you go, and maybe an option to get into the playoffs will materialize for you. Siberian Hopscotch Mafia, one of the 2 new teams in this division. So let's have a look at their record. So they're at 2 wins, 1 loss, but they also inherited the AI team's record. So it's actually a little bit more like 2 wins and 5 losses, or something like that. We'll actually have a look at that when we look at the leaderboard. In terms of development, we have a level up on one of your catchers. We have a level up on another one of your catchers, but he got an agility up, but he also got AV busted at the same time. So he's out next match, and then when he does come back, he is going to be... he was a lineman, he wasn't a catcher. I just saw the AV7, but realised that he was AV8 before. He was a lineman. He is a lineman, so He's 84, but he's out for the next match. And then we have Gregory Kandinsky with guard, and then we have Sergey, another catcher who has taken diving, catch and block. Interesting choice. You have the 4 team rerolls, which I think is almost obligatory for a Kislev team. And we've got a relatively low team value. As I said before a few times now, recently joined the division, doing well. Will he make it through to playoffs? Probably not, but that's more to do with the record you inherited than your performance so far. If it was just based on performance so far, I would say you had a relatively good chance, but just inheriting that 4-loss record it's almost ruled you out before you even started. But definitely I think you're going to go on to do great things next season. Another team that I think is going to go on to do great things next season is the Elizabeth Timbers, coached by Dwiggs. Now, slightly better record, probably in part due to the fact that Dwiggs has had slightly less stiff opposition. So we have personal record is 2 wins, 1 draw, but that's probably looking more like 2 wins, 1 draw and 4 losses, or something along those lines. Again, another team that, because you joined later and inherited that AI record, you're not likely to make it through to the playoffs, but that has no correlation to your ability on the pitch. You've been impressive and you've done well so far. You've created a splash. In terms of team development, it's good. You've got 2 of your Saurus with level ups, which is nice. Nice that you were able to divert the SPP in that direction. Then we have your one crazy leveled up skink, Long John Silver, who is at 17 of 31 SPP. Remember, you've only played a few games, so you have less development than a lot of the other teams, but what you have is good. I like the block on the Saurus. It's going to make you nice and solid. But yet again, this is another team that, just by virtue of starting the season so late, you're not looking at a playoff spot. Well, it's unlikely you're looking at a playoff spot. And I would definitely just focus on developing the teams for the next season and storming through to a playoff spot next season. And then we have the Harlem Globetrotters. I'm going to look at the record in a second, but I'm just going to say here and now, it's unlikely, very unlikely, that you're going to make a playoff spot. I would just focus, so 3 losses. You also inherited like another 3 losses and 1 draw. So you aren't making the playoffs. I think it's almost an impossibility right now. Team development, you're suffering. You've lost players, you have players out next game, you haven't seen any development. I don't often suggest this, but for you, I would definitely suggest a reroll. Come back with something new next season. A fresh start, and just play out the rest of this season, try to have some fun, and then just come back next season, fresh start, new team, new outlook, and then try and make your mark then. And so on that note, I think that's all of the team development, my predictions done. So now we're just going to take a quick look at the leaderboard. And so, as I thought, we have Murder's Row still at the top of the table there. In second place, we have the ReBBL Rage Quit, followed by the Baskin Robbins, the Nurgle team. So, Baskin Robbins, you are in third place. You still have... Well, you're less than a game behind ReBBL Rage Quit. So, are you making playoffs? It is possible. I think that... do we have a game against ReBBL Rage Quit in your future? Let's have a look. No. Okay, so Arabi could drop a game here or there. You could win games. So I definitely think it's a possibility in your future. I think you just need to keep on plugging away at it. You're only less than a game. You're 2 points behind Arabi for that second playoff spot. So yeah, you've got it all to win. You develop the team along the way, but definitely shoot for those wins. And you could very well be in with a chance at that second playoff spot. Same thing for the Kevlin Krakens. You actually have technically the same number of points as She-Ra. So you're also 2 points behind Arabi and the ReBBL Rage Quit. So keep on plugging away. Keep on proving me wrong with that stand firm Berserker, and win those games and get that second playoff spot. I don't think anyone's going to capture top of the division champions. I think it's going to be Murder's Row. But the battle for that second spot is pretty hot and heavy with these three teams. Following up, we have Once Bitten, the Sylvania Slayers, so those are the two vampire teams, and the Oklahoma Sooners and Gamblers Gals. These teams also, I think, have a chance. I wouldn't say it's the greatest of chances of making the playoffs, but they do have a chance, and I've seen stranger things happen. So definitely keep your eyes on the prize, go for the win, but also go with development, because it's always good to develop your team, but also you might find that it's harder to get that second playoff spot than if you were one of these higher ranked teams. So at least a nice consolation is a well-developed team for your second season. For Flinging Fun all the way through to the Harlem Globetrotters, I think it's unlikely you're going to get a playoff spot. So definitely just focus on the team development. For the two stunty teams, Flinging Fun and Happy Go Go, take a look at the other stunty teams in the other divisions, and make a judgment call on whether or not you think your record is going to, by the end of the season, is going to be better than every other stunty team in the REL, for that stunty playoff spot. There's just the one. In fact, you might be just the one across G-Man, Big O, and REL. I'm not sure. But anyway, definitely for all of these bottom end teams, just focus on your development, and look forward to see your next season, your second season, with a really powerful, dynamic, scarily built team. Division 5G. So welcome to your week 7 review. So there was a lot of action. Let's get straight to it. So for week 7, there were actually a few surprises or big games between teams that were ranked at near the top of the table. So starting off, we had the Austin Knights versus the Farm Animals. That was a 1-0 win for the Farm Animals. Then we had a big match, These Violent Delights, the Amazon team, versus the Lizman team. And These Violent Delights walked away with the win, cementing their position at the top of the table. We then had We Chillin', the Dark Elf team, versus Scooby and the Gang, the Necromantic team. And We Chillin', again, close to the top of the table, along with Scooby and the Gang, and We Chillin' walked away with the win on that one, 1-0 win as well. Then we had Mount the Tetons beating the Holy Grails, the new addition to the division, the Bretonian team. So they beat them 2-1. So that was actually quite a close game, considering that the Mount the Tetons are, I believe, in second place right now, and the Holy Grails brand new Bretonian team. So it was quite a fresh team versus a very, very competent and probably well skilled Orc team. So good on the Holy Grails for getting the 2-1, but they were up against it. Against the second place team. Then we had BioWare for Life versus Jesus and Such. Bit of a surprise. Jesus and Such, the Goblin team. BioWare for Life is the Vampire team. BioWare for Life has been doing really well. Jesus and Such is a Goblin team, so they were doing pretty well for a stunty team. But it was a 2-2 draw. Then we had the Dolgan Lions beating the Castlevania Creeps, the other vampire team in this division. They beat them 1-0. And then we had the Big Bad Baby Eaters with a great win. This was a chalk off. And it was the Big Bad Baby Eaters beating the Thunderstrike 2-1. So looking ahead to week 8, we have the Holy Grails versus the Austin Knights. Now I am going to pick... I'm going to pick the Holy Grails, the Bretonian team, versus the Austin Knights, which I believe is a human team. So I'm going to pick the Bretonian team. I think that they've had some tough matches against some good teams, and I think that the Austin Knights hasn't seen as much development. I think that the Bretonian team is going to win this one. Jesus and Such versus Scooby and the Gang. Even though Jesus and Such did get a great draw last week, I don't think they're going to be able to surpass Scooby and the Gang, the Necromantic team. So I think I'm going to give this one to Scooby and the Gang, and I believe this is probably going to be a 2-0 win. Castlevania Creeps versus the Lizards Techers. I'd love to say that Vapor Gecko is going to get a win here, but I'm going to pick the Lizardman team. They are doing well, and I think they're going to continue doing well, and this is going to be another 2-0 win. Thunderstrike versus the Farm Animals. I'm going to pick Thunderstrike. I think they just have enough innate skills to win this one. It's either going to be a 2-1 win or it's going to be a 1-0. I'm going to pick a 2-1 win for Thunderstrike. Big Bad Baby Eaters versus These Violent Delights. These Violent Delights, they're just topping the table right now. However, the Big Bad Baby Eaters, they are Chaos Dwarves, they have tackle. So I'm going to pick These Violent Delights, but I think there's going to be injuries. I think it's going to be a closer game than the standings right now suggest. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win for These Violent Delights. The Dolgan Lions versus We Chillin'. I'm going to pick We Chillin'. I think that's going to be a 3-1 win. I think the Dark Elves are going to sort of come into their own, and they're going to just really nail a solid win there. And then for Bioware for Life versus Mount the Titans, this is going to be a tough one. Both teams are doing well. Both coaches are really competent. I think that Mount the Titans is just going to have the backbone, the gumption, the sheer stupidity to sort of just outbash and outlast the Vampire team. So I think they're going to win that one 2-1. Okay, so that covers predictions for next week. Now we're going to go into taking a look at the team development. Now this is the mid-season episode, so not only are we going to look at team development, we're also going to do, at the end of this, we're going to do sort of playoff predictions and look at the leaderboard. So Bioware for Life is the first team. Now Sickfish is a veteran coach of ReBBL, and he is doing pretty well. I mean, he did take these movement ups. He's going crazy with the movement ups. He just seems to be all he's rolling right now. Three movement ups. Although this looks like Commander Shepard was movement busted. I think he was probably that way last episode, but so we have a non-movement up vampire, and then we have the Hero of Neverwinter, who has 2 movement ups, and we have a dodge piece, and then we have the 2 thralls with dodge and wrestle. Not a huge amount of development for this team. They are doing well though, so that gives them some leeway, but they are down to it. They only have 10 players on their team. They have 3 vampires, which is strong. They have 5 team rerolls. I think Sickfish is still gonna do well this season. Not sure if he's really in a position to be a playoff contender. But when we take a look at the leaderboard, we'll give have a better idea. He just really needs to. For the vampire teams in Division 5F, I was saying that they need to buff up their vampire, get more vampires on their team. He has 5 team rerolls. He has 3 vampires. What he doesn't have is that bench of thralls. So I think he just needs to. He has no money in the bank either. So I think he's in between a rock and a hard place. I think he needs to start getting more thralls, but there's also that need to get another vampire. I think I'd like to see him finish the season with another 2 thralls and another vampire to begin leveling up. Although this one here has seen no development yet, so maybe just finish the season with another 2 thralls and then possibly another vampire. So go into season 4, the next season, his second season with the 4 vampires and enough thralls to have a bit of a bench. Mount the Titans, the Orc team that is doing rather well, as Orcs are wont to do in their opening seasons when they first start out. One of those very strong teams, 1000 TV. So we have the Black Orcs with 0 development. They really are starved for SPP. It doesn't seem to be slowing him down, but yeah, he really needs to, and I'm sure he is doing everything he can to try and get SPP on these Black Orcs. And one is close to being leveled. He's got an MVP. But then we also have the Blitzers. So one has Mighty Blow, Tackle, and Dauntless. And then another one we have as a Blodge, Sure Hands. And then we have one which is got the Mighty Blow. We also have a lineman with block. We have an agility busted lineman. So maybe you might want to think about, you've got some money in the bank, maybe just get rid of him. Yeah, and then we've also got the troll who is close to leveling. My thoughts on this team is that maybe he didn't need the Dauntless piece. I think Guard would have been a nice choice rather than Dauntless. But, or maybe even piling on, make this your sort of killer piece. He's got the ball carrier, which is nice. Although personally, if I was running with this team, I would have moved one of these linemen out and gotten a thrower. It comes with sure hands. Just need to get in block and make him your ball carrier. Make him your guy that trolls it downfield, being protected by those 4 blitzers and that wall of Blackhawks. By making one of your blitzers the ball carrier, it's one less piece that you have to do damage. That's just my thoughts, though. I'm sure that he's doing really well, so I'm sure he knows what he's doing. Moving on, we chillin'. The Dark Elf team that's doing well in the divisions I'm covering. So we have 3 blitzers who are blodge. We have 2 that are close to leveling. We have 1 blitzer that's pretty brand new. We have a Witch Elf with moving up. Then we have Guard Lineman, which is very valuable, worth his weight in gold. And then we have two with wrestle, 1 with dodge. I'm sure that this dodge piece is going to get either wrestle or a block, and then we're going to go for dodge on these 2. I would like to see you develop one of those with kick, because you are a team that can take advantage of kick. Not the fastest team, but with that high agility and higher than average speed, you should be able to take a good advantage of kick and maximize the effectiveness of that skill. Again, another team that's doing really well, has a decent team value, has a little bit of money in the bank, has 3 team re-rolls, which is you already got 1 during the course of the season, which is great. You have an Apothecary. I'm sure when we look at the leaderboard, you're going to be well up there, and in with a chance of making it through to the playoffs. These Violent Delights, the Amazon team. So we have the thrower. We have 2 throwers. One hasn't really seen any action. The other one, so this must be the backup thrower. And then we have Ford, who is the primary thrower. She has 20 SPP, and the skills she's taken are strong arm and accurate. Then we have 4 blitzers, 2 of levels, and they both took guard. That's a good choice. I would like to see some mighty blow, some tackle on these 4 blitzers. Then we have the catchers. Both have taken block. One has got sidestep. We have 1 line woman out with a movement bust, and then we have another line woman with wrestle. Maybe this will be developed into a ball hawk player. And then we have 4 team rerolls, which is a lot. Maybe you might want to scale that back as your team value gets higher, and you're starting to think about the matchups you're having and whether your team value is bloated. That would probably be one of the first things I would cut, especially if you have these 2 throwers. One of them levels up and you give it leader, then you don't even need that 4th team reroll. You can have 4 team rerolls and still shed one of these. You got an apothecary. You got money in the bank. You've got a great team value. You're top of the league or top of the division. I think you're sitting pretty. Again, another one of those teams that is right at the top of the division and yet still hasn't seen a whole hell of a lot of development. So would definitely like to see some a little bit more development on this team. But you're doing really, really well. The farm animals. So the farm animals Chaos team are struggling a little bit. They do have one piece with the sure hands. We have 2 Chaos Warriors who rolled doubles and took dodge. We have one of those 2 is actually really close to leveling. So probably going to go block, and then that'll be a blodge piece. Yeah, I'm not sure whether I would have gone dodge on both of these Chaos Warriors. Dodge is a great skill, but I think that you having dodge on both pieces might have been a waste of have it on one of the pieces, but on the other piece maybe diversify a little bit, especially since dodge is a great skill to keep your Chaos Warriors on their feet, but it's not a great skill to maximize their strengths. So I would one piece with dodge, and then if you really wanted to use a double, you could have gone for jump up and develop it as a killer. But that's the thing about the Chaos team in general and the Chaos Warriors is they really don't need doubles. They have strength access, they have general access, they have mutations access. So there's a plethora of skills for them to take, and the way you want to develop them all comes from normal skills anyway. I mean, there's a few skills like jump up that can be taken from like the dodge skills, which is on a double, that are going to be useful. But that maybe is a little bit of bloat for your TV that you might not see the full benefits for, especially since you took it twice. Moving on, Lizard Attackers. One of my teams to watch. I every time I check this team out, they're doing well, and they are impressing me with their positioning and their general play. So, team I'm somewhat rooting for. So we have the Lizard Attackers. We have the Crossagore who has levels. He's taking guard. We have a Saurus that's pretty brand new or just hasn't seen any development. And then the other remaining Sauruses are amazing. So they've taken, we've got block on 4 of them. We have Mighty Blow on another 2. One is block and Mighty Blow. Tapper. And then for your Skinks, you have one with agility up. I think this is unchanged from last game. I don't remember the Skinks having any skills in the last game either, apart from this one with an agility up. But the development on your Saurus is phenomenal. By this stage of a season, I wouldn't expect. It's nice to see that, and it's not like it's a rare occurrence, but I wouldn't expect to see this much development on your Sauruses and little development on your Skinks. Skinks are easy to level, but they only have access to the agility skills, which kind of limits their development unless you start rolling crazy amounts of stat ups and doubles. They're also very fragile, so wherever possible you want to try and get development. You want to try and get SPP on your Sauruses, because once they start developing, they become incredibly strong and the real backbone of your team. The Skinks are great for starting out. You can get some nice skills with them, but long-term development, unless you start getting stat ups on them, they're the type of players that you're going to recycle, sort of level 2 or maybe 3, or second or third level up. So that'd be 3 or 4. This one has got an agility up, so that's great. He's probably going to be kept, and amazing things are going to happen with him. The other skinks, as I said, no development yet, and that's probably just the way that Largrag wants it. Scooby and the gang. Scooby and the gang is doing well. They did. I think they drew their last game. I just did the results, and I've already slipped my mind. They're doing well. It's a good team. We have Scrappy Doo, the werewolf, with 0 development, but then we have Muttley Jr. With the block skill. You do need a little bit more development on your werewolves, but you're getting development elsewhere. We have the Dirty Player, we have a block on one of your flesh golems, and then we have tackle on a white, we have a ghoul and a white with guard. Some of this is really good, some of this is a little bit surprising to me. You are doing well. I definitely don't think you have anything to worry about in terms of how your team is going to be doing this season. Not sure if you're going to be going to playoffs, but you're definitely going to be high up there on the leaderboard. But yeah, I mean, for the long-term development of your team, you're just really going to need to start focusing some SVP on your wolves. Ghouls come and go. They don't have any Apo access. They are AV7, so they are prone to sort of getting hurt and dying a lot. Your flesh golems are hard to develop, so that's great that you've got the block skill there. The zombie with the Dirty Player is always a good choice. But my one tip for you would just be to start developing those werewolves. Try and get SVP on them like crazy, because once they start developing, they become probably one of the best, if not the best, pieces in the game. And they will carry your team. Running goofs are no longer part of the division. We have cheaters and such. The Goblin team, yay! So for cheaters and such, we have the 2 trolls, both taken guard. We have Looney, Zachgrib, who's taken Dirty Player. That's going to be amazing. You're going to start seeing amazing foul potential with this piece now. He got a +3 to fouling, I believe, with the chainsaw. Now it's going to be a +4. He's just going to be a beast. Then we have Fograk with a strength up. We have the sidestep goblin, and then we have the bombardier that hasn't seen any action, but you snuck him in there at the bottom. Not sure if I would have gone for the bombardier. I probably might have gone for a fanatic over one of those, but no, this is a good team. And your last results, the draw, shows that you're starting to get a handle on this team. You're doing well. I think you're sort of mid-table right now, so nothing to complain about. I believe you're also doing pretty well in the Stunty Cup, so good on you. We have 4 team rerolls. We have 140k in the bank. Relatively low team value. It's 1,110. And that's probably been unduly boosted by taking that strength up on that goblin. That's new, and I probably wouldn't have taken that. I probably would have gone for block, because it's a double, right? So it's 12, so it's a double. I probably would have gone for block. It's less TV, and a strength 3 goblin without any other skills is still just as susceptible to getting injured and being taken off the pitch. So it's kind of like a 50k investment it's more than doubles the value of your goblin, and you're probably not going to see a huge amount of payoff for it. As much as it might pain you to do so, I might think about getting rid of it. Try and bring your TV back down to close to 1k. You're probably thinking I'm talking craziness right now, but I just don't see the value. If this was a piece that you had developed up and then you got a strength up, sure, but a strength up makes him strength 3, and he's still just as susceptible to being injured. He's still only a strength 3 piece, so he's still going to be taken down. Anyway, that's my suggestion. Castlevania Creeps. They're coached by ReBBL, and this team is just not having a good time. They're not doing well in the season so far. Hopefully, ReBBL is focusing on just team development. He has a kick piece. He has a few thralls that with stat busts, but they're thralls, so it's not really that big a deal. He has this one here, Trevor C. Belmont, who has a skill up but hasn't taken it yet. He has this Bullhawk thrall. He's got wrestle, he's got strip ball. He's got another wrestle piece that's out right now. Is that this next game? Yep, it is. Okay, so that's good. And then we have a block piece. We have the 3 vampires. One's got an AV bust, but took the leader skill. Then we have one with block, and we have one without any levels yet. Has 14 rerolls. Started with 14 rerolls, I believe. 90k in the bank. Relatively low TV value for a vampire team. Took an apothecary. Probably going to be an apothecary for these thralls, but I'm not sure if I would have taken one. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you have the cash, I would get another vampire. And then I don't know. I'd be torn, but I mean, I'm not sure whether I'd keep Alucard, Kronwist, just because he's going to start developing up, and then he's still going to be an AV7 piece that people are going to fixate on and injure. Do you really want to be starting to put more development on that piece? Maybe keep him, but just focus on putting your development, your SPP elsewhere. Develop your new vampire you're going to get, develop this one, develop the other one, and then just when and where you can use this one to the best of your ability, but just don't give him any SPP. Thunderstrike, one of the Chaos Dwarf teams. Now it looks like Thunderstrike's just been having a hard time with it. I don't think they've really sort of gelled with the team or really got off to a good start this season. We have 2 guard pieces. We have a Hobgoblin with Dirty Player. And then we have another Hobgoblin, Gret Evil Ball, who is a touchdown away from leveling. Your 2 Bull Centers are, well, one's 2 SPP and one's 3. So the one that's 3, if you give him a touchdown, he'll level up, and that'll be nice. But I just feel like you're missing a lot of SPP development on your blockers. You do have those 2 guard pieces, but by this stage of the season, I would just like to see more development on this team. Once you get the development on this team, they are going to become beasts, but you just need to stick with it. Unless your team is absolutely trashed by the end of the season, I would advise you to stick with it. Chaos Dwarves are one of those teams that they don't get the strongest of starts. You think they would, but they don't. But once you sort of just keep at it, keep with them, you do get rewarded. So to keep at it, do at least another season, and then see how you feel. But yeah, the Big Bad Baby Eaters, the other Chaos Dwarf team. So let's have a look and see how they're doing. So this one is a little bit more developed. We have the two Bull Centaurs, both have break tackle. We have one with sure hands. Then we have two Chaos Dwarves with guard. One is movement busted, but that really doesn't matter. And then we have Mr. Tickles with the claw. That's the awesome claw piece. So definitely the next skill is going to be Mighty Blow. Then we have another one with guard and Mighty Blow. This is a great team. I would suggest for your other pieces, give them Mighty Blow so that they level a bit quicker. You know, the median time for taking Mighty Blow first and then getting guard is much faster than if you went guard first and then Mighty Blow. Guard is an awesome skill to have. Definitely take it. But yeah, for these two, just so they catch up, I would give them Mighty Blow so they can catch up quick, and then give them guard, unless of course you get claw. For your hobgoblins, you've got one sturdy player. I would think about I would think about, once this one levels up, maybe that's it, and then next time he levels up, recycling him. You don't really want too much development on your hobgoblins. But one with kick would be nice, and maybe one with sure hands. I know you have the sure hands here on the Bull Centaur, but never hurts to have another hobgoblin with sure hands, just as a fail-safe piece, a piece that can pick up a little bit more reliably, especially if you have a horde of elves breathing down your neck. But no, doing well. Then we have the Dolgan Lions. They can see they have a level up already. So we have Mighty Blow on one of the Beastmen. We have Minotaur that's leveled, yay, but hasn't taken that level yet, so it'll be interesting to see what that is. We have a movement busted Beastman, and then we have another Beastman with extra arms. So this is going to be your Bull Carrier. I think your mid-pack, you have a pretty low team value, which is kind of the way it is with Chaos teams. You only have 2 team rerolls, probably because you took the Minotaur, and no Apothecary yet. So, and only 10k in the bank, so you're probably not going to have an Apothecary anytime soon. But again, Chaos is one of those teams that really starts slowly, and then give it a few seasons, and then you'll be the team that everybody is afraid to face. Look at some of the other higher up divisions and just see how scary their Chaos teams are, with the exception of Iron Master in Div 2. His are pretty boys who think they're elves. Anyway, yeah, to look at other Chaos teams. If you want to be a dancing airy fairy Chaos team, then look at Iron Master's team. If you want to be a more classical build for a Chaos team, look at most of the other Chaos teams in the higher divisions, and then just see how scary they are. I'm scared of them. Okay, and then we have the Austin Knights. Austin Knights, I don't think have been having the greatest of seasons. It's a human team, and I don't think they've been getting off to the greatest of starts. Or maybe it's just every time I look at them, they seem to be in the wars, injury prone, and not getting the best match results. So we have one lineman with Dauntless. I suppose in a division with a few higher strength teams, that makes sense. We have a catcher with Blodge and Catch. Nice, that's really good. We have a thrower with block. We have one blitzer with guard, who's out right now. We have another AV busted blitzer, and then we have one blitzer with guard, and we have the ogre with guard. So it looks like you're going guard all over, which is a very solid choice. I think a lot of human coaches, which I'm not really one of them, human coaches will often say the amount of guard you have on your human team, they really need it, and it will make or break your team. So definitely you've been listening to a lot of those coaches that know better than I. So you've gone for guard. I might think about a little bit of Mighty Blow, just to add a little bit of venom to your punch, a little bit of sting, to introduce a little bit of fear to your opponents. And start thinking about getting tackle as well on your blitzers, and then obviously kick. I always suggest kick is a good skill. And then finally we have the Holy Grails. Abnormal 43. This is the Bretonian team. This is the team that just joined us. Well, not just joined us. They've had now what, 3 games. This looks to be like just a friendly or something. So 3 games. We've got a 2-1 loss. We've got a 2-0 loss, and then we've got a 2-1 win over the Goblin team. Let's see how you're developing. Now, remembering that you've had less games, you have no development, which is a shame. You've had 3 games, so I would have hoped to see at least 1 player developing. It looks probably like you had a death or 2, and you still have a peasant that's movement busted, and another one, a blocker that's got a niggling. Okay. In terms of players that are going to level soon, you have 2 blitzers that are close to leveling. I would obviously level them. You have a blocker that's close to leveling, and then you have a peasant that's close to leveling. So maybe just get a vanity pass in for that one blitzer, get a touchdown with the other blitzer, hope for an injury on both the blocker and the peasant, and then at the end of one match you'll have 4 players leveled up and start feeling a little bit more like the matches you're going into are a little bit more even. I think you just need to, in your next game, you just need to be a little bit smart and focus on getting on that SPP on the pieces that you need it on, so that they level, and then you can start sort of getting some much needed skills on this team. Okay, so we're going to take a quick look at the leaderboard, and I'm going to give you some predictions. So, no surprise, we have these Violent Delights, coached by Rodog, at the top of the table at 5-2-0. I don't expect them to drop many games. Good coach, and they're doing well. I think they have a good lead over at least half of the division. I'm just looking now, and I see that there's actually 5 teams that are at 5 wins. So that's 15 points, which is pretty good for this stage of the halfway through the season. But these Violent Delights are the top of the division. They're doing well. I definitely think that they have a good shot of going through to the playoffs. The Orc team, Mount the Tetons, coached by Brian 506, is just behind them, only 1 point. Again, the Orc team start very strong, stay strong for quite a while. Obviously a good coach, and they're developing well. Just need a little bit more SVP on those Black Orcs. definitely could see them going through. Wk7, Dark Elf team, again, always a threat. Now Wk7 has 4 wins but 3 draws, so they are again on the same point value as most of these other teams that I'm going to be mentioning in a second. Yep, very strong team, great coach. Obviously hasn't lost yet as well, that's so unbeaten. Does have 3 draws though. Then we have the Lizards Techers and Blagrag and Scooby and the Gang, Travel Scrabble, both on 502. And then we have BioWare for Life and Dire Sickfish, coached by Dire Sickfish, in 6th place at 421. Now, these 6 teams are teams that I can see going through to the playoffs. I believe there's only 2 spots going through, so if the playoffs were tomorrow, then the teams that we were going through would be Mount the Titans and these Violent Delights. It could the end of the season could end up looking like that as well. It could be those 2 teams going through, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if I saw Wk7, Lizards Techers, Scooby and the Gang, or even BioWare for Life going through into the playoffs in one of those 2 spots. For the farm animals, the Big Bad Baby Eaters, Dolgan Lions, the Holy Grails, Castlevania Creeps, Cheeses and Such, and Thunderstrike. And one more team, the Austin Knights, I believe. Yes. I would still hope and play for a playoff spot. I think the cutoff for that is it's not that big actually. It's just 2 teams. So the farm animals and the Big Bad Baby Eaters, you still have a moderate chance of making it through. There's only 2 games that divide you from the top spot. So it's possible that all these other teams could drop 2, whereas you win them. You're only 2 games behind. It's not infeasible or unfeasible. Not quite sure which is correct there. For the Dolgan Lions through to the Austin Knights, I wouldn't. Still play to win, but I would focus more on your team development. Focus on getting those levels up and stick with the teams and have a whole lot of fun with those teams in the season, your second season. That advice especially goes for the Dolgan Lions, the Castlevania Creeps, Thunderstrike. These are all slower to develop teams, and yeah, I would just stick with it. Have fun for the rest of the season. You can play Kingmaker, but focus on developing your teams so that in your second season you can really go out there and surprise everybody. Okay, so that covers I think all of the content for this week. So we've done 5GF, we've done 5G, we went through the teams, we took a look at the results, we took a look at the next week's games, we took a look at the leaderboard. Sorry, I'm just going through a mental check. I think it's good. I think for the remainder of the season, I'm just going to do a quick update each week, just letting you guys know as we get closer and closer. I'll obviously have a better, clearer idea of who will be taking the playoff spots. But I think I maybe just as we go through the leaderboard, I'll just sort of say, oh yeah, this team is suddenly doing really well. They're coming into contention for one of those playoff spots. This team's fallen from grace, XYZ, and also I'd like to give a little bit more coverage to the Stunty Championship as well. If you're a Stunty coach, not only are you in the running for the grand leaderboard for your division, but there's also one playoff spot for the top Stunty coach. I believe there's actually 2 teams in Division 5F that are jockeying for that spot, as in like they're in joint first place, I believe. So they were Happy Go Go and who's the other one? Oh, it's the Flinging the Flings. Flinging Fun. Flinging Fun and Happy Go Go. Both of you are actually in serious contention for the Stunty Championship playoff spot. So carry on doing what you're doing. And yeah, if you can, I'll give you updates next week. But yes, you're definitely serious contenders for one of those, that one playoff spot for a Stunty team. And let's just see how Cheese and Such are doing. Yeah, so Cheese and Such not as much, but yeah, Flinging Fun and Happy Go Go. You're both in the same division, and you're both fighting along with every other Stunty team across all divisions and across all leagues, I believe. You're competing for that one playoff spot, and you two guys, or you two teams, are in joint first place with about, I think, 4 other teams, 3 other teams, 2 other teams, maybe. I think there were 4 or 5 of you. All had the same record. So, yep, keep at it. So that's all from me. I'll definitely chat back with you next week. Definitely let me know if you have any suggestions, what you thought of the episode. A few of you come forward and let me know sort of the inside scoop on how you've built your team, what your thought process was, things that are going on within the league and within your division. All great information. Keep on doing it, guys. I really appreciate it. And have a great week, and I'll check you next week.